Good morning, student. This video content is the fourth part of the chapter Constitutional Design, Class 9, Subject Social Science. Student, in this section, we will begin from page number 24 and our heading is the Constituent Assembly. Before I start making the explanation about the Constituent Assembly, which was meant to draft the Constitution of India, there are certain things that I would like to bring to your notice. Between page number 23 to 27 of your textbook, if you have seen it, you will find that on the left and right corner there are some brief sketch about the members, some of the members of the Constituent Assembly. It is not all the members, few members are shown over here with the certain information. And based on this, on page number 25, there is a section check your progress, in which you are expected to give few questions taking the content from here. For that, it is expected you to read it yourself. I will not discuss any of the content because it is generally the sketch about the a brief sketch about their life, about the part these people, you can say it was the brief introduction of the member of the Constituent Assembly. One more thing your textbook has mentioned, that you need not to memorize, because your book is not expecting you to become a data bank. Your book is not expecting you to learn the about the member of the Constituent Assembly. That is where you need to go through yourself, read it yourself and answer what are being asked over here. There is an activity also on page number 24 in which you are expected to find out that whichever area you live, did we have the member from this area, from this region where you are living as a member of the Constituent Assembly, and what contribution they could make. That is what you are expected to do, and I wanted to tell you. Let us start from the Constituent Assembly, the Constituent Assembly. So question first comes, what is Constituent Assembly? Simple word, simple definition. The Constituent Assembly is an assembly of elected representative which was meant to draft the document, called Constitution of India. So it is clear that it was the elected representative. It was an assembly of the elected representative for the purpose of drafting the Constitution of India. I hope you are aware, in your class 8th, there was, in the history section, there was two chapter, India, nationalist movement in India, and India wins freedom. If you remember, you studied over there that after the Second World War, the situation, the world politics, situation of the world politics got completely changed. The early power, Britain and France, were replaced by two new superpower, that was United States of America and United States of Soviet Republic. As a result, what happened, that now due to the pressure of these new emerging superpowers of that time, things were made clear that sooner or later India is likely to attain independence. Because of this situation, now it was expected that if India is likely to be given independence, they should be making a constitution or they should be making a set of rules and regulations which can be called as a Constitution of India by their own effort. And for this purpose, Constituent Assembly was made. I hope I made the point clear, that because country was about to gain independence, it was decided that country people should themselves make the constitution for newly independent country. In newly independent country, if constitution was supposed to be made, the election was supposed to take place, and election took place exactly in the month of July 1946. After that, student, 389 member from all the part of India of that time, including the part of Pakistan and Bangladesh, 389 member were elected. Make the point clear, in your textbook it is not written 389, it is written 299. I am going to tell you why it is. 389 member got elected, and what happened, that the first meeting took place in the month of December 1946. This is the information provided in your textbook, but I am providing you additional, that exact date was 9 December 1946. 6. This was the date when the first meeting of the Constituent Assembly took place. In the meantime, one development took place that in July 1940s, in the month of June 1947, country India was supposed to be divided into two parts, India and Pakistan. And as a result, what happened that this Constituent Assembly, which was having 389 members, now was supposed to be broken into two parts also. One for making the Constitution of India and other for making the Constitution of Pakistan. That's how the 90 member got reduced and the remaining member was 299, which was supposed to be given the responsibility to make the new Constitution of India. That is how we have discussed this part. Now we are all aware, we have seen so many times in the preamble part of our Constitution, it is written that finally the Constitution of India was adopted on 26 November 1949. But we adopted waiting after 2 months, and on 26 January 1950 we declared Constitution of India as the Constitution of a Republic India. You have studied this also, that what is the story that we waited for 2 months. If you remember, after the Lahore session of Indian National Congress, the Congress party changed its demand from Swaraj to complete independence, and Jawaharlal Nehru, presiding the meeting on the bank of River Ravi in Lahore, made this clear that from every year from 1930 onwards, every year on 26 January, we will be celebrating our Independence Day. To keep that date in our, to give the importance to that particular date, it was decided that we will not accept our Constitution on 26 November 1949. Rather, we will start accepting our Constitution from 26 January 1950, which is now our Republic Day. So that's how our Constitution was finally made. Now another question comes in the mind, that do we find our Constitution, our Indian Constitution, is still relevant? So there are various logic. You can say that yes, over a period of 7 decades, it is more than 7 decades, still our Constitution is very much relevant because it fulfills the aspiration of all the people of the country. There is no doubt about it. But your textbook has given various logic. Your book has given that the very achievement of our Indian Constitution is that no one has raised the legitimacy, no one has raised the question about the legitimacy of our Indian Constitution. There are various countries in the world in which Constitution was made, but it did not fulfill the requirement and aspiration of the people. That's why it was supposed to be rewritten. And in some of the country, you will find that in spite of rewriting, it was again required to be changed. So many times it was rewritten. You will study in the class 10, the Belgium was the country in which the Constitution was supposed to be changed 4 times. Not only Belgium, many other countries are example where Constitution could not fulfill the requirement of the people, the expectation of the people, and that's why it could not sustain for a longer period of time. And there are some other countries in which Constitution lost its credibility because it remained only as a piece of paper. The best example is Pakistan. There exists Constitution, but you have seen that over a long history of Pakistan, most of the time Pakistan has remained under the control of the military ruler. It means there is no value of the Constitution in that particular country. Moving to another. So on this basis, you can say that there is no doubt that Constitution in our country has remained without being questioned. However, few points can be raised. There are certain provisions about which right from the beginning until today there are questions raised, like President rule in Article 356 of the Indian Constitution, or Article 370, which is recently being deleted by the present government, the NDA government. Its entire provision has been completely changed. Remain a little controversial in nature, but overall legitimacy of our Indian Constitution was never questionable. That's the achievement, student. Moving to another aspect that your book is wanting to say, that Constitution of India was made by the member of the Constituent Assembly, and whatever the views you find in the Constitution of India is not the reflection of the views of the member of Constituent Assembly. Rather, it is the broad consensus existing after the independence at that time, whatever the people wanted, whatever the desire of the people, that is represented in the Constitution of India. That is why probably this constitution has remained successful and without being questioned. There is another issue also, that because the member of the Constituent Assembly was elected from all over the part of the India here I means that including the part of Pakistan and present Bangladesh also. So when the member was elected, however, you can some of the criticism can be made, because this election what took place for the member of the Constituent Assembly was not on the principle of universal adult franchise. It was, these members were chosen indirectly by the member of the provincial legislature. But even then you can say that they were representing the people across the country. Reason, the member of the provincial legislature were elected by the people of the country, and that is how this constitution, which is made by the member of the Constituent Assembly, represent the wishes of the people. Now on the page number 24, there is another point what is addressed over here, that Constituent Assembly was dominated. Third point, Constituent Assembly was dominated by the majority of the members from Indian National Congress. However, all these members did not have similar opinion, did not have the similar views about the kind of constitution they were willing for their country. Apart from this, those members who were not from the Indian National Congress, they were representing the various linguistic group, they were representing the various caste and classes from the Indian society, different reason from the society, and that's why we can say that among the all members of the Constituent Assembly, all diverse views and expectations were included in the draft of making of the Constitution of India. Moving to the last section, that your book has said that there is another credibility, that Constitution of India, which actually it has been mentioned that has been made in a very democratic manner, in a very manner that called consensus was evolved. First, before the draft of Indian Constitution was made, the first thing what was done, that some of the basic principle was agreed upon, that you probably read in the preamble part, like India will be nothing less than democracy, India will be a republican country, India will have a sovereignty existing in the country, means country will be free from any external control. That is all accepted, and various things, that freedom, equality and rights and the fraternity was accepted in the country. All you read in the preamble part. After that, what happened, that drafting of the constitution was done by the member. You all are aware, there was the chairman of the drafting committee, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, who made the draft of entire Indian constitution, not for making it final, rather for making a debate on it. And then a long process of debate started. Every single clause was debated. More than 2,000 amendments were made by the member of the Constituent Assembly. And student, you will be reading in the textbook that 114 days took place over a period of 2 years, 11 months and 18 days. Student, it is not mentioned in your textbook. You might have read somewhere in the earlier classes, but how it is, I will tell you. Look, the very first date I told you, 9 December 1946, and when constitution was finally adopted, 26 November 1949. If you will calculate it mathematically, the period will be 2 years, 11 months, 18 days. During this 2 years, 11 months, 18 days, 114 days when the member had a meeting. During their meetings, they had a long debate and discussion. The interesting fact is that while finalizing the Constitution of India, whatever said by any of the member, everything was written and recorded and has been now preserved as a Constituent Assembly debate. And you will be surprised that even today, if there remains any doubt about any of the provision of the Indian Constitution, We used to read those bulky volumes where debate took place between the member of the Constituent Assembly, so that we can come to know that what was the intention of bringing or introducing various law, or that particular law about which there exists some doubts in the mind of the people at present. So you can say that the making of the entire constitution has remained so much the making of the entire constitution has remained so much democratic in nature, so much based on the consensus. That is why our constitution of India, made by the Constituent Assembly, remain very, very relevant. So we have completed the topic, the Constituent Assembly. Moving to the next topic on page number 26, that is the guiding values of the Indian Constitution. Look, everyone should make the point clear that whether class 9th democratic politics book or whether class 10th democratic politics book, we will discuss exact provision mentioned in the constitution part of our India. Whatever the part of there in the Constitution of India, we will only discuss, and every discussion will be made in the existing law of the country, in the perspective of the existing law of the country. But we should be understanding that while making of the constitution, what were the guiding values or the philosophies of the Indian Constitution. In this regard, student, we can say there are two guiding values. Number one, that what was the values of some of the leaders, some of the great leaders of our country about the constitution and about the new India, what they were expecting to have in our new emerging independent India. In this section, student, we will discuss some of the leaders like Mahatma Gandhi, Mahatma Gandhi, Ambedkar and Jawaharlal Nehru. Their quotations and their some of the famous contents are quoted over here that we will be going through. I will be reading through the textbook so that we can find out what their intention was. Second was that what constitution itself has accepted as the philosophy of the constitution. Means you will be reading the preamble part, which is nothing but the philosophy of the constitution. I am sure that all your NCERT textbook of any subject, you will find that the preamble part existing or the fundamental duties existing. So you must have read the preamble part. We will discuss that also as the guiding values of the Indian Constitution. I am repeating again. Number one, how leaders have accepted the philosophy of the Constitution of India, and how the Constitution itself has accepted as the philosophy of the Constitution of India. Let us start. What was the opinion of the leader? I have already given a name of Mahatma Gandhi, but have you noticed that this name is missing in the member of the Constituent Assembly list? In the list what are shown in your textbook on the left and the right corner between page number 23 to 27, there is no name of Mahatma Gandhi. Reason? He was not the member of the Constituent Assembly. But because of the stature of the Mahatma Gandhi, because of the leader he was, the level of the leader he was, many members of the Constituent Assembly had represented the views of the Gandhiji. This one of the views of Gandhiji's, what he said in his newspaper Young India in 1931 has been taken here on the page. I shall be reading it for you, but what Gandhiji has said, let me briefly help you to understand that Gandhiji believed that the constitution or should have for the new India, if it shall have no untouchability, no discrimination existing, if it will have equal role for the men and women, means that he wanted to have gender equality. He also wanted that there has to be a proper representation for all the section of the society, be it rich or poor. You have already studied in the previous chapter that everyone in democracy should be able to express their views if any decision is going to affect them. That is the basic principle of the democracy, what Gandhi wanted. Let me read it for you, student, what it is saying. That Gandhiji's statement is mentioned over here. Let me read it for you. I shall strive for a constitution which will release India from all thraldom. Thraldom means the slavery and patronage, that patronage under which we were living under the British colonial rule. I shall work for an India in which the process shall, in which the poorest shall feel that it is their country in whose making they have an effective voice. That is the principle of democracy, that every person should have realization that they are coming up with their own views. And also Gandhiji said that in India in which all communities shall live with perfect harmony, there has to be no hate feeling among the people. That was Gandhiji's desire. There can be no room in such an India for the curse of untouchability. He wanted to remove untouchability also from India and wanted to achieve the gender equality. I don't want to read every single line, you read it yourself, but the meaning is this. But on the other side, there was another leader, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, who is known as the father of the Indian Constitution, and being the member of the chairman of the drafting committee, he drafted the entire Indian Constitution. He was critical of Gandhiji's views because he felt that Gandhiji, the kind of equality Gandhiji was talking was more political equality in the nature. That's why he said that from 26 January 1950, we shall enter into an independent India where we will provide political equality with the principle of universal adult franchise, in which every person will have one vote and each vote will have one value. But in spite of this political equality, there will be no provision of social and economic equality. Ambedkar was of the firm belief that country should have social and economic equality also. Until unless it is not going to be achieved, we will not have the true democracy existing in our country. Then comes another leader, the first prime minister of the country, that was Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. He made the speech on the midnight of the 15th August 1947, where he came up with the word tryst with that destiny. Destiny here he means the freedom what we could achieve, and tryst word he wanted to say that a meeting about which we are not knowing that what is written for us in the future, that what in independent country we are likely to achieve. But he expressed his desire. I'm reading it for you, student. Long years ago, we made a tryst with destiny, and now the time comes when we shall redeem our pledge, not wholly or in full measures, but very substantially. Means he wanted to say that slowly and slowly we will make effort to achieve those goals for which we have made struggle during our freedom struggle, whatever the values we made sacrifice. We made sacrifice for achieving independence. It was not only meant to achieve independence from the British colonial rule, it was also meant to achieve the equality in the society. That's why Nehru was of the firm belief that country should have political as well as social and economic equality. Every effort of the government should be in the direction of ensuring that the kind of unequal distribution existing in the society should be going away. Nehru wanted that society should not remain like that. Once the country has attained independence, its all benefit pass to the rich section of society. After attaining independence, country should make the effort that the benefit of independence should pass to all the section of the society. Student, it's quite a lengthy statement mentioned over here. I would suggest you read it yourself, and that's how we have completed the first section, that how the people in the country wanted, how the leaders in the country have associated the philosophy of or the guiding values of Indian Constitution. In the next section of our this particular chapter, in the next section, in the coming section of this particular chapter, we shall discuss the another aspects, which is the guiding value or philosophy of the Constitution, that is the part of the preamble, or what Constitution itself associate with the preamble what Constitution itself associate in the preamble part, that what values it is itself wanting to say that it wants to achieve for the people of the country. That's how, student, we shall be discussing another part, our preamble section, in the part number 5. Thank you.